All right. So, uh, hello everybody. This is Josh. I am with Cloud Dancer Studios, and we are going to be talking about things that we like. So we have Travis and we have Awe, and we're actually going to be talking about Stranger Things today. I don't think anybody else on the internet is talking about Stranger Things, so this will be a first because nobody ever really talks about Stranger Things.
Right. No, I mean,
Yeah, nobody on the entire internet has
Yeah.
ever talked about Stranger Things.
No, totally a completely unobserved subject. No one's given any opinions about it. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Well, so Travis, feel free. We can talk away about Stranger Things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would probably say, Travis, the reason why you like Stranger Things is because the whole D&D thing, right? And well, as far as Hellfire Club, lives on. Yeah, it's just D&D is kind of like such an afterthought of the show, where everything else about it, including the plot armor, which we can always talk about later because that's going to be a bigger subject, I think, is just a solid show. I mean, even a perfect show still can nitpick, things, not necessarily the strongest points about it, but this show, I think, really even recognizable tropes made it enjoyable. And I'm completely saying that from a biased, nostalgic '80s kid, point of view. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, there's been a lot of controversial things about the season ending and how they ended it.
Yeah.
And I think we can talk about spoilers now. It's been out long enough.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Spoilers ahead, everybody, if you haven't figured it out yet. Yes.
Right. What are your thoughts on how they ended it, especially the season finale? How do you feel that it ended? Do you think they ended it well? Or could they have done something better?
In a completely unfair comparison, much better than I thought they ended Game of Thrones.
Oh my! Because Game of Thrones does not end well.
No, not at all. No, yeah. Season 5, the ending, there was one thing to where the whole season played up to, obviously, the point where Elle says her final goodbye. Okay, it was a build up. It was an obvious thing. I mean, I can see the groundwork while Callie was there serving that purpose. Thought it was a little cheap, especially with her character, with her just punk character, and then she just becomes this. She just gave in, and I never thought that I could see really Callie, like, especially on how they wrote her for how little that we saw of her, that all of a sudden, oh no, she broke. Anyways, but that's another thing that we can dive into as well. Pardon. The biggest part about the ending that I had the issue with, obviously, was Elle's goodbye. It, like Eddie's death. Oh, spoilers! No, if we're talking about season 5, of course we're going to talk about season 4. And
you have to,
yeah, of course. And here's the thing: where even after season 4, Eddie's death was unnecessary, and the whole line of season 5 of, well, hey, they're always going to be after her, and you're always going to have to be hiding. You're always going to. That's what her life has always been. Now, granted, is it a great life? No, but you're living. And not to quote Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but hey, I'm going to pull from all universes, is, life's not a song, but the fact that it's living and you go on. And was hers perfect? No, but she could keep doing it and going from there. So I guess if you haven't figured it out yet, internet, I'm going to info dump. And it's season 5 finale, I thought they ended the show well. I do have my obvious gripes, but overall, they did a fairly good, tidy basket, so to speak. I think we can definitely nitpick this, that, or the third about it, most definitely, because hey, that's why we're here. But overall, I would give it a solid ending. They could have messed it up even more, especially with all that buildup. Like right now, I even know folks. Pardon. I even know folks that don't even want to watch season 5. I'm trying to win them over on it, but don't even want to watch it because they've taken so bloody long releasing it. Granted, there's been things going on, but yeah. So, anyways, what do you guys think?
I don't know. What do you think of the ending of how they ended Stranger Things?
So I think with like 11's death and everything, I really enjoyed how like she said goodbye to Mike.
But did she die?
I don't know, but that actually kind of drove me nuts because I was like, either he's making it up just for like their heads, so their head would be okay, or he like 11 like tapped into his mind or something and told him she's okay, but not to tell anybody else, kind of thing. If like, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, most definitely. In fact, that was one thing that went through my mind when he was recanting that, because first off, it wasn't Kali. If I remember the timeline correctly, which I haven't like fully analyzed the last season yet, but I've worked out through most of my stuff with it. Kali was dead, and she could not have have had really anything at that point to do with it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like it's right now we never knew until season 5 that it was technically the wormhole. And the fact that we never knew the Upside Down had boundaries. We never knew that. We just assumed that, oh, it's an alternate dimension that goes on and on and on, because our world would go on and on. So to know that it's only a specific cone, or a certain radius, so to speak, is telling a lot, quite a bit.
It is.
So
I did like how there were a couple things that like drove me nuts with Callie's death. When she acted like her blood was on her torso, and after she got shot, the gun was actually pointing towards her head, and when he actually shot the gun, it was actually pointing away from her because he got blown backwards. So I don't find a way that could have hit her torso. And then how did she end up outside with her still being like, because when she was outside, when Mike was telling the whole story of 11 still being alive, how was she outside and she was still kind of like slowly dying? That was one of,
yeah.
So my view on this, and this is kind of, I do think 11 survived. One of the cool things that they've always done with the whole series is they've incorporated Mike's campaigns into the storyline. So, like if you remember in season 1 where they're playing D&D, and he's like, "Oh, it's a Demogorgon," and then what happens? We have Demogorgons in the Upside.
Yeah.
So the writers did, my opinion, a very good job of taking the D&D world and incorporating it into the Upside Down. And I think
that was fun.
One of the things they kept playing on was when 11 was saying, "This isn't like your campaign, Mike. This isn't like your campaigns." 11 had to quote unquote die for everything to kind of be reset to neutral, right? But if you look at the ending, she doesn't have blood coming out of her nose. I think she was a hologram. I think how Mike was explaining it really did happen, and that she has vanished into the unknown, to another continent, which opens up the question. Now you have somebody who's basically superhuman walking around, and so that leads to. But there's some subtle things there that happened during the season finale with 11's death. That's just my opinion. there were some issues I had with season 5 where it just it seemed to drag on, and there was a lot of filler. They just kind of we're going to add some fillers. The new bad guy that replaced the Doctor, Linda Hamilton's character,
Dr. K. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what is your purpose other than to walk around and yell at people? I'm like, what do you do?
And also to be a name recognition, because as soon as like I was 100% the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, where as soon as she took off her mask and it was like, I was like, oh, Linda Hamilton. Oh,
true.
You know?
She is from the Terminator series, so yeah, it's like, oh,
yeah. And so I'm like, yo, right. Oh, you're a not nice person.
Yeah, well, no, she was not a nice person.
And
but
I
kind of liken it to like Raiders of the Lost Ark, like, right? You pull Indiana Jones out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the movie will progress ish. However, I look at her and I go, okay, if we pull Dr. K out of Stranger Things, season 5,
yep.
I don't know what her point, like, what other than name recognition would put her up in the credits,
right? But I think that they had to put because Dr. Brenner was dead. Spoilers. No, Dr. Brenner was, finally dead, which, by the way, I thought, they got me 100%. I'm just like, oh my God, he's still alive. Okay. So apparently we have to see an on-screen death. Poor Joyce. She's seen so much on-screen death. Anyways.
Joy is going to need some serious therapy.
Well, and actually, I was just thinking about that. Just while I was compiling the thoughts, I was like, "Oh, I wonder what will." That's one thing that I've really have enjoyed 100% is the character development with both moms, Mrs. Wheeler and Joyce, both fantastic arcs, and like for instance, I can't think of Mrs. Wheeler's name now. But anyways,
Karen.
Karen, thank you.
Yeah.
Freaking badass, man.
It was awesome.
And then Joyce had her moment later with the freaking axe, and it's just like it's not just Hopper being a badass. It's not, the moms are showing their stuff. And not only that, but Mr. Wheeler, finally he I never knew he would get his ass off the couch type of thing. It was just finally like, dude, the guy took on a Demogorgon.
That's awesome.
He didn't even know if his family were technically in the room. He just knew that monster in house, Iron. So
one of the biggest misses I think that they did with Stranger Things and the way they ended it. So. Mm-hmm. So you remember, right? You had Billy, who was infected by what's
the Mind Flayer?
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
He ends up fighting against it at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifices himself, saves everybody, right? And we know how that goes. And then you had the Hellfire. He sacrifices himself at the end. He was never possessed by the Mind Flayer, but it was close, and he sacrifices him. And then you had at the very end of season 5 where Vecna is coming to terms that he has been the Mind Flayer's pawn this whole time. And I was like, oh, what if Vecna turns and becomes the inevitable hero that he's, because they've already done that a couple of times where you have,
right.
And I was like, what? But he obviously he didn't do that. He just, Vecna kind of was like, he owned it. He's like, yep, that's how it is. I was like,
he did. But did you notice the subtle thing that they did there? And that's one thing that, even the Duffer Brothers had said they knew pretty much nil about D&D. And not a problem. I enjoy what they were trying to do. In fact, do you know why it was the Thessal Hydra instead of the Mind Flayer? At least what I've heard anyway. No. Because why didn't they use the Mind Flayer, right? It's a specifically trademark character to where if they use an actual lithid which is for non D&D people. It's octopus squid people. Okay, but they couldn't use that, so they had to use the Fessel Hydra, which is fine because it's kind of apt as well. But sorry, little tangent there with D&D. My apologies.
I have not played D&D in probably 30 years.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're on basically 5.5 now. So,
and Awe has never played it ever.
Oh, there you go. Just out of curiosity, then, before we get back into it.
Yes.
Curious and no pressure. Out of watching the show and all the, even though they did invent the class called Zoomer, any interest in maybe even playing D&D? Has that ever, or has it just been like, okay, cool. It was in a show and that's all well and good.
I mean, I know for me, with everything that I've got going on and everything that I got in my life, when adding another thing would, that would be. I mean, like, so Nick, so one of the studio's partners, Nick. Everybody here who's ever watched any of our short films, Nick is always in them, and Nick is normally running. Nick plays D&D every Friday night. Oh,
right on.
Yeah, so him and his girlfriend, they all go to a friend's house, and they literally they play 3-4 o'clock in the morning. They'll play D&D.
That's a good session right there.
Yeah, Doritos, Pepsi, Coke, pizzas. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they do that, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you were talking about the deaths and the sacrifices before, and one thing, and I'll be happy to jump into that too, because I think that they, for again story purposes, which sometimes as a DM, dungeon master, storyteller, whatever you want to use, sometimes you do have to bend the rules, guys. I'm sure people out there know what I'm talking about. I would like to meet a DM that has never truly ever fudged a dice roll to stop a TPK, because it would just totally bring the story down. But that's what I think this main shows, and what I have heard about, kind of a overlay for the entire show, is the plot armor. Realistically, the only person that has really gotten the horrible anything, with the exception of, Eddie, because technically he was a party member for a while, but was Max. Max was, especially at end of season 4, was broken mentally and everything, and just from there.
Yeah.
Of course, we had Eddie in season 4, Billy in season 3.
I think one of the best arcs that they did out of all of the seasons was, and I can't remember which season it was when they went to Russia. Is that season 2?
Was which one?
Where they went to Russia.
That was season 3, because it was the mall.
I loved that. I thought that was the best that they did.
It was so fun.
Yeah. I loved the Russian dude. I can't remember his name.
Yuri? The guy with the helicopter, or the guard?
No, the bald-headed guy who thinks everybody's an agent. He's got this whole bunker, but he speaks fluent Russian. What was
Murray?
Yes.
Murray. Murray. He's the reporter guy.
Oh my God. And then he's sitting outside at the end, all the military's having to leave the base, and he's sitting there in the launcher. He's like,
yeah. And I love it when the military personnel is all just
it's just flipping them off. He's just giving them the bird. Great. I was like, that is priceless. Oh, it was so good.
And
I love Murray.
Murray, in fact, was just a delight in season 5. They did, Murray became Murray the Merc, just because they nicknamed him Santa. And the thing, you got to have some right connections when you can flub really high military papers to get into one of the high military zones of the country.
Yeah.
Especially for, isn't this delivery a little early? Yeah, that's fine. My paperwork checks out. I bet it does, Murray. I bet it does.
I know.
So I was mentioning that she has some opinions about Stranger Things that are not.
Are they hot
mainstream.
takes? Are they hot takes? I love
not
hot takes.
not mainstream opinions.
Okay.
What do you got?
What you got?
I do not like the Byers family.
As a whole?
All of them individually and all of them together.
Why?
Okay. Please, yes, please.
You need to expand upon
Yes.
this.
No, I get you. Because here, like with it, go.
Well, I think first, I think Will would be better if his mom wasn't like so overprotective. It kind of all starts with Joyce, because when Will ends up getting trapped in the Upside Down, Joyce kind of becomes one of those moms that like doesn't let their son or daughter do like absolutely anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that also changed Will's personality to become like one of those like little wimpy kids that's also scared to do anything. And then Jonathan is just weird.
I hear you there. So wow, I just worked that out in my head, and I'm glad that I did, because now I feel better about it. It was a whole Nancy thing that I feel better about Nancy now. Nancy, we're good. So here's the thing. Joyce, I feel like we could almost do a whole episode just on Joyce alone, okay? Put yourself in her shoes just real quick for me, regardless on how, let's see here. Can I say cringe right now? Is that fine? Okay.
I think you can say cringe.
I can say cringe? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm pretty
cool.
sure that's okay.
All right. This is a mom that worked long hours to be able to support her family.
Single mom.
Son, huh?
Single mom.
Yes, single mom working hard to support her family. Her son gets taken, disappears. She freaking loses her mind. Like, well, remember how distraught she was? And like, first off, Winona Ryder. First off, kudos.
She's a great actor.
Like, I don't know what the highest.
Nobody would believe her.
Yeah, no, and then the whole like, he's in the lights. I'm like, you need an award. I really enjoyed. She still has acting chops, and I haven't seen Beetlejuice yet, so I don't speak it from ignorance there, but at least from her playing Joyce Byers, kudos, fantastic job, because she played her very, very well.
She did a very good job. Yes.
Yeah, and
I just don't like the character in general. It's like Will ends up becoming like a teenager, and he can take care of himself, and she's still overprotective.
But look at her arc, though, because yes, you are 100% right. From season 1 to season 5.5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. She was 100% that way. But that's what I think makes the ending so much better, is because, like, you're right. Will is a wimp. Let's be honest, guys. Come on. He can't. And here's the thing. I love Will's journey. Will has a very profound arc. And let me put it this way. Right now, up until Will being the sorcerer, only Elle has been able to do the wah.
Yeah.
Sorry for the background on that. But
no, you're good.
Now Will just is Will to look badass. Like it just like when he was taking control of the Demogorgons, I thought it was a little bit later. Everyone had already gone to bed, and I thought I maybe had woken up people, because it was a really good moment.
It genuinely looked really cool.
Yeah.
But because I already disliked Will just enough, the second I saw he had powers,
I have a feeling like a good portion of everything is because of his hair choices. Let's be honest.
yeah.
No, I digress. But I really enjoy Will's arc altogether. He just shows a great, especially with Robin's help on his journey of it, just really kind of brings it a good roundabout way to where, even though it kind of started with him, it didn't. Well, actually, I think it could be argued it had to end with him too, because if Will wasn't there, I don't think 11 would have had enough oomph at that point to finish the job. And which, by the way, I gotta say my hot take, and by all means, and then please do, because I think you had more other than the buyers on that, and we can
Yes.
say Jonathan is. They could have done a better job with him.
Yeah.
Overall, but Vecna's death kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
Like how many times it took her to chop his head off, or
well, not just that, but like, granted, okay, so it's arguable, especially from the DM side of things, is okay, so maybe his power source or his connection with his, like, maybe he was actually a warlock type of thing, and his patron was dead, and maybe he was just didn't have the power, etc., etc. But he was impaled. Okay, he's a big viney monster guy, but he was impaled. I don't think he really has internal organs he has to worry about.
Yeah, and then when wasn't it at some point like his arm was blown off and his arm just like regrew?
Will broke his leg pretty
Oh, yeah,
pretty
it was
horribly,
that.
and he was just like, nope, and I'm fine.
Yeah, so
but all of a sudden he gets in, maybe the argument is he was impaled by the creature.
Yeah.
So by himself, and then his head was hacked off. But my big issue with that whole death part was they freed the kids. They had their hugs, because keep in mind, one thing that Stranger Things does is they hug, and which is fine. But it's kind of like the Power Rangers, kind of like morphing. It's just they spend so much time hugging. But hey, trauma builds bonds. So.
Total side note, not non-Stranger Things. I could never, ever, ever get into Power Rangers.
That's a subject for another time, and I think it's just ageism. No.
Yeah, well, no.
Or
so in the 80s, when I, as a Gen Xer, one of the shows I fell in love with was Voltron. I love Voltron, and then I saw the Power Rangers. I'm like, this is just a clone, and it's a bad copy. I'm like, this is no, and so I never got into it.
No, and I get you from there. And little keynote, and
we do have a question from the YouTube, from the internets.
What do we got?
So the question is what's your opinion on them not including the dragon from Will's painting last season?
Honestly, am I the only one who remembers the painting?
Apparently, because
okay. So
it
was the painting that Will was painting for Mike, and he gives Mike that painting in the van when
that's right.
away.
Yeah, the one that's been rolled up the whole time. Yeah.
Yes.
My bad. Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I don't feel like a dragon would really fit in like the Stranger Things lore, if that makes sense. Because it's
lore. Like they're making up the lore as they go.
Right. And
I know. Yeah. But like it wouldn't fit in the Stranger Things universe, if that makes sense. Like I feel like dragons are completely separate from that. I feel like and then I think it was in that painting the dragon was more of everything they've been through, all of the struggle that they've been through, and it was more like a metaphor than a physical being that would. Yeah. It was more like you have conquered so much more than most people could ever conquer, and that's why you're in the front.
I can totally. That. Well, and you got to keep in mind one thing that one thing that they did really, really well is without one piece of the cog, it would all have fallen apart.
Yeah.
And for instance, even Will giving. Good grief! I'm sorry, my names are going through. Oh shoot!
Like you can see the person in your head, but you don't remember their name.
I'm horrible at cast members, man. Hold on.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm horrible.
I mean,
So, yeah.
I don't understand. So I clearly forgot about the dragon.
I forgot about the painting. I'll be honest. Yes, internet. I did have to look it up just because I remember the painting. I remember in the van them doing it. I had to remember what was on the painting. My bad. And it was. I think instead of it being a foreshadowing monster thing that they try to do and they normally do, I don't think it was necessarily that. Not necessarily it was a red herring, so to speak. I just don't think it was a foreshadowing monster, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think it was mainly, I was very astute in my mind because Dungeons and Dragons, that's one of the prevalent things. I mean, you aspire to be able to take down that ancient red dragon or whatever the
This is
case.
true.
Exactly.
I think they did miss a good play on the D&D world because they were really incorporating D&D a lot in it. But as the Duffler brothers have said, they know nothing about D&D.
Right.
So I do think that they kind of did a miss, but that's okay. All things considered, I thought season 5 out of everything, I think was still kind of one of its weakest seasons.
Ooh, okay.
Until the ending.
Okay.
So I'll say it this way: is they didn't start slow, right? So
Right.
They broke it up into 3 sections, right? The first section of, I think it was 4 episodes.
Yeah.
It hit hard and it hit fast, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
oh my gosh!" Then the next section was like, and it just felt like a lot of filler to me. It just the middle part was just like, and shall we continue? Like what? Like come on! Like let's get to the point. The finale, though, I will say that the absolute finale.
Yeah,
I do think that they did a very good job with trying to make sure that they did not do a tease of we might do Stranger Things Part 2.
right.
I think they did a very good job. But all in all, I still thought that season 5 was I think season 3 was one of the strongest ones where they went to Russia.
It was good.
That was a good one. Yeah.
And you find out all like the Russians are really into like opening up the Upside Down and opening up the portal, and they're working hard, and they've got themselves a Demogorgon, and they're I thought season 3 was probably the strongest out of everything, and I wish they would have really built on that Russian lore. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can see that. You know, I broke the rules on season 5. They were like, "You're gonna watch it how we're gonna want you to watch it," and I'm like, "No, thank you." I really dislike it, and I'm saying this from a completely I don't know how it is on the making part of it, so maybe you can shed some. Granted, maybe they had to do it, but it seemed like everything was shot and they just wanted to release it to be a pain in the butt. And I didn't want to watch it that way. So I waited until everything dropped and I watched the whole thing. And so I didn't have that lull. Because I figured I had waited so long, I can wait a couple more weeks so I can watch the whole thing. And here's the thing. I think the Holly story can be again justified loosely. That felt forced. The freaking what's his name? The Derek. Let's be honest. We all kind of cheered every time that kid got slapped around. Okay,
it was awesome.
But it's just
I was sitting here. She's like, "Yeah, it was awesome."
It was awesome.
Yeah, and but here's the thing. I even had hope for that guy when at the very end when he could have came to grips with Holly, and obviously it wouldn't have worked out because they both would have been ganged on, probably, or I don't know on how that. I just really wish he would have had a better arc, and he would have maybe grown a spine at that point. It just, yeah. But season 5, the whole kids thing, I understand like that was the final case in point of it. And the one thing that I just thought was really badass was the Vecna scene. I mean, let's be honest, of him coming through and just brutalizing the military folk on that was just freaking epic. And like
Right.
it just went to show on how like, but here's the thing, where were their sonic cannons at that point? Like at that point, like, hey,
Yeah.
bullets, things like that haven't been working on him. Maybe
Well,
the
and
sonic thing that should, yeah.
and to be fair too, they are already using the sonic cannons because they had Eleven's sister
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
already captured at this point.
Yeah.
So they knew it worked.
Yeah.
The problem, one of the problems that I had after season 3 was they tend to rely a lot more on 11, and it was just kind of like lazy writing. Like they're like, we need to accomplish said impossible goal. She has powers, magic, it happens, done.
Mm,
We've accomplished impossible goal. One thing I did like that they did a lot in the season 3 with the Russians is there was a lot of scenes where she was not there and they were having to figure out things and do things and make the impossible work without having a super magical awesome power person with them.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then she lost her powers and that whole
Yep.
arc again too, and which, but you were saying.
Yeah, no. I agree. This is one of the biggest problems that I had though with season 5 was, and to your point was like, okay, so Vecna walks in, that was very cool, but once you started understanding, like you started watching the rest of it, you go back and you're like, well, wait a minute.
Mhm.
They already, yeah, like to your point, I'm like they already knew that this stuff would shut down this person.
Yeah.
Why didn't they already have that in place? Or
Unless, of course, monster, but
right, why didn't the General K or whatever her name was, why didn't she like have them show up with it?
Right.
I don't know. To me, season 5, and to your point, I know why that they split it up, and it's money.
Oh
It
yeah,
keeps subscriptions, right?
advertising and all
Advertising.
that jazz,
It's
yeah.
it's all money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was cool that the season finale they did a limited theater release. I thought that was really really cool.
Really unique, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of my friends went and saw it actually in the theater. They're like, it was really worth it. It was worth the experience. I was like, right on.
Cool.
But I still, in my opinion, and Aw and Travis, you guys talk about it. In my opinion, I think season 5 was still, you could tell it was just kind of like coasting at this point. It's like, okay, we need to stick the landing, and then walk away. Like, and I'm glad that they are doing that. One of my favorite shows of all time was Seinfeld, and Jerry Seinfeld has said this numerous times. He's like, I did not want to overstay my welcome. He had the number one show for a long time, and they ended it. And the studio had come to him. They offered him an obscene amount of money to keep it going. And he was like, no, I don't want to be that show that's like, you were good 5 years ago, and now it's just, meh.
Right.
And I think that Stranger Things was starting to have that happen to them, where it was really good, and then it started curving down, where it's just kind of like, it's the same thing every time. And you're like, okay, 11 does this magical thing. You got the Demogorgons, you got the mind. Oh, look, Will is possessed yet again. Okay, all right, let's. So I do think that season 5 was the weakest. We have another comment though. Sorry, I've been ranting a little bit. Sorry, apologize. Somebody asked, what was your favorite season and why? So I've been talking too much. So, what's your favorite season and why?
I think probably season 3 One, because my reason is season 1 they were still trying to figure out like how to bring it in, how to get everybody together, with 11 being new, and how to get Will back into the world. And then season 2, like they kind of figured it out. They just needed a kind of a different story. But season 3, it was nice because they had like two different stories kind of. One was the Russians, and then the other one was Billy and everything. Billy was season 3, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mall season.
And I thought it was really cool because like Max was still new to the group. Like she has been with them for one season, which was season 2, and she was kind of still new. It was kind of nice to see her have a small traumatic experience. So they like not like in a good way, like you better have that traumatic experience, but like it was like kind of her understanding. Oh, so this is what they have been through the past like 2-3 years. And it kind of, I mean, the one thing I didn't like about season 3 was like they made us like Billy for like 2 minutes. Like we hated him season 2 and most of season 3, but then they made us like him for 2 minutes and then they killed him. Great.
Yes, welcome to the empathetic trope there, and it's it. Thing is though,
So what was your favorite season, Travis? Uh-oh. You have a couple?
Well, to be fair, it's really, really tough.
True.
Because if you really look at it, the Showa as an arc itself, 1 through 5, they did their season finales in this way just to always keep you excited for more, to keep them wanting more. And that's how they always kind of ended it. Season 1 was, hey, everyone's happy. And, oh, no, we have Slug down the drain and we have a flash of the Upside Down. And we're like,
I forgot about the Slug down the drain.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's, what was his name? Dustin's Demodog?
Dart.
I forgot the name. Yeah, Dart. I think that's where Dart came from. Yeah.
And see, here's the thing that was one of the deaths in season 3. Two. Hold on. 2.
Who's died?
Yeah. And he was marked, and things like felt bad for the cat.
So bad for the cat. So bad.
But season 2 ends with the snowball, and then with the end, just the flipping and the mind flare, it was solid ending.
It was really, yeah.
The battle at Starcourt is freaking fantastic. The fact that they were like, how are we going to get these kids with something more than like sticks? High grade fireworks. That'll work out perfectly.
Travis,
kids,
I will say this. That was epic.
It was awesome. I like the season 3 version of the Mind Flayer a little better than the season 2 one. Because it's something they could actually physically touch.
Right. Well, I mean, technically, the Mind Flayer infiltrated Will and whatnot, but
it was more kind of like a shadow.
Yeah,
and Ash than it was like a physical thing, if that makes sense.
Sean Astin's death was one of the tough ones there. Sorry, I'm just going back to season 2, and that was another unneeded death in a way.
Yeah.
But sorry, it was just one of those where I was kind of going back with that. As far as seasons go with it, overall, and it's not just because I'm a metalhead either. Okay. I have to go season 4, man. Just don't watch it in the daylight. Watch it when you can watch either whatever screen you're on where you have really good view. And it's just, that season is really good. I really enjoy Max. The only thing that I have kind of an issue with season 4's ending in a way is when Elle is trying to find Max, they pull on the like day and a half that they were best friends. I know that they were more friends for longer than that, but that's how it kind of felt in a way, and it just felt a little kind of cheesy, and we never really knew the end result of that. They never really spelled it out. They just kind of leave you guessing with it. Season 4, Eddie's death just hurt. It was needless. He was just trying to be a hero, but that again was his arc. Was he has been running his whole entire life from every type of thing that did it, except for in the fantasy world where he could be a hero. And here he decides to, what would have happened if he didn't go back and delay the bats even longer? They would have probably made it back to the house. So I would probably say, sorry, in a info dump Travis way, is I would definitely probably say season 4, just because overall it was a great story arc throughout the entire thing. And not only that, with the ending of it, with Hawkins opening up and the I forget the jock's name, Chrissy's boyfriend. Can you help me out?
To the Google machine.
Yeah, right. GTS.
I mean, for me, so while you guys are Googling, for me, I think this is a toss-up.
Jason.
Jason.
I absolutely love these. I've talked about this already at great length, so I won't beat the dead horse. I love season 3. The Russian arc I thought was fantastically so well done. Season 4 is also right in there with it, because season 4, you do have this incredible dynamic with Eddie, who is deeply soul searching for meaning in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He knows at his core what we would call he's basically a coward.
Yeah.
And he escapes the real world by playing D&D and being a dungeon master. And he can put on this persona of being a hero in D&D, but he knows at his core he's not that person. And I think the way that it was rough watching him pass, but knowing that he had found meaning and he found what his purpose was, and he knew exactly what he was going to do. He didn't run from it, and he took it on. I was like, to me, it was beautiful writing.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I am very, very glad they did not bring him back.
Right. Yeah.
I have problems with shows and movies where a very important character dies off, and then the writers are like, well, did he really die? Let's bring him back. Like I'll liken it to this.
Yeah.
In that for all of the younger folks in the 90s, there was a comic book so DC Comics was on the verge of going bankrupt. They were not doing well competing against Marvel. They were pretty much on their way out, and they all of a sudden they dropped the mother lode of comic books called The Death of Superman. Superman battled Armageddon. No, Doomsday. He battles Doomsday, and he dies. Doomsday, of course, dies, but Superman died, and he died. Mm-hmm. The last page of that comic book was Lois is holding this battered body. The Superman flag, Superman's cape is like the American flag in the background. It was beautifully drawn, and it was beautifully written. And that comic book outsold everything. I mean, it put DC back on the map. And then what DC do? Well, let's bring him back. And then they had like the Man of Steel, and then they did other versions of Superman.
Superboy. The Superboy line was legit though. Okay, like that's like I have some upstairs. Hold on. No,
that's okay. It's okay. But to me, it cheapened it. It was like, stop. I'm like, let him be dead.
Right. And that was, maybe depending. Obviously, we won't have to be able to do 15 seasons within a week or so. But it's like that was one thing about Supernatural that became a trope on its own. Was unless they, I mean, even if they die on screen in that show, they could have still came back. But the thing about Stranger Things, and correct me here if I'm wrong, and chat too, is as far as I can recall, as long as you died on screen, that's how you remain dead in the show. Because you can be fine as long as they don't show your death. And that was one of the things too, is like this show, as much as like kind of I talked and alluded to it before, if you remove one person, Will didn't tell Mike that he was the heart, and Mike didn't then become like get the speech that gave Eleven the courage and the motivation to do what she needed to do at the time, and blah, so on and so forth. Or Dustin wasn't there for that piece of knowledge because that kid. That's my one thing. Sorry, tangents and just a chaos thought here. Hold on. Season 5 made me dislike Dustin, and I did not like that. I did not like that they made me dislike, at least for a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of time of season 5. How dare you not? I thought more of Dustin than that.
Yeah.
I knew he was, but I can understand why they made him do things. It just, I think that Dustin was a little bit more of better mind than that, but then again, kids growing up, hormones also too.
Well, and to be fair, Dustin had a massive, I would even call it PTSD with watching his friend Eddie die.
Yeah, in his arms.
And
in his arms.
And then not being able to tell anybody the truth of how Eddie died.
Yeah. And granted, he was able to talk to his uncle about it, but like,
yeah.
All right, cool. But like everybody else thinks that you're doing this, like basically worshiping a serial killer, or something, and that's just, yeah. And that was the thing too. And that was one thing, again, that I like about season 5 is they addressed the dynamic of up until season 4, Steve was Dustin's mentor. Season 4 was 100% Eddie, 150% Eddie, period. And then finally in season 5, then it switches over. Then obviously at the end, then we're like, hey, they still, go on camping trips and stuff, which is cool, So, I mean, I like the arc of that on about how they, not necessarily did have a falling out. Well, eventually did, but then they became back and then they were better for it after everything was all said and done. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. So we got about 8 minutes left in this wonderful conversation we're having.
We do. Oh, geez,
time flies when you're having fun and you're talking Stranger Things.
Yeah, right.
I will say one of the things that did strike me kind of weird was I think it was season 3 is when Dustin got Dustin got his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. What happened to Susie?
What happened to Susie?
What happened to Susie Q?
And then he started hitting on some random girl in season 5, and I was like,
Nope. She's not random. Okay. She's not random because
she isn't random.
No, because she was the original girl that denied him at the snowball.
Yes, I do remember that.
And then at the end, she's like, "You want to come to my party?"
Yeah.
So it was one of those. I was like, "Yes."
It was a random moment.
Yeah.
But it was
because they had the whole never-ending story thing. I mean, they all sang it over the airwaves.
Right. What happened to Susie? No.
Murray is sitting there going, "What?"
Right. Like, hey, call signs. You dress that man as Bald Eagle. Thank you very much.
Bald Eagle, yeah. Dusty Buns. Like, come on, Dusty Buns. Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was, and then I don't know what happened. She was just like, poof, gone.
I don't know if you remember this, but in season 4, Eddie says that he's going to go up to the principal, snatch that diploma, and flip him the bird.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what Dustin did.
Yep. And
I was like,
yeah. And and Erica turns out to be one of my best supporting cast. Except, I'm sorry, she took a little too enjoyment with that syringe taking down her nemesis there in season 5. That just like that whole scene where they get Derek's
Damn.
family was just like, oh, Erica's got to work some issues.
Yeah.
But
And then when
so-
she went to his teacher and he was like, "It's 3 a.m," and Murray steps in, she's like, "She addressed that."
right. And here's the thing. So what happened to Susie? And we haven't talked about him. And I don't know how we spent this entire time without mentioning Argyle.
Oh
Like-
my god.
Oh,
Like, here's the thing. Like, that was the one character. Now, don't get me wrong. It can be easily solved by one statement, and that is, dude, he has a job and a life in California. Like, he has to get gas back. You have some gas money, but like, once this thing happens, aren't you going to be like, you know what? I'm here now because the world might end, So it's just, what happened to Argyle? We know, I did a little research, and apparently they never even called him. And they just kind of
Really?
swept him under the rug kind of thing.
They were like, "He never existed."
Well, not just like, oh no, he's just not there anymore.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume that's the same thing they did with Susie.
perhaps. I mean, because if you remember, they had to do so many things with her. Kind of, let's be honest, the cheaper by the dozen family there, and
Yeah.
that was a whole, probably a big expenditure for them too. So
Yeah.
but yeah, where's the Susie wrap up and where's the Argyle wrap up? Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
And then what happened to I think her name is Vicky, I think.
Which one?
In season 5, the redhead.
Oh,
Yeah, last
mean-
we saw of her, she was in the closet with Max.
right. No,
When-
her and Robin are fine. It's just
Robin.
her and Robin are fine. That was the wrap up of Robin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan on the roof.
Not Robin. Robin's girlfriend.
Yeah, isn't that the redhead? Or what other redhead are you talking about?
Robin's girlfriend. She had like that pixie cut redhead.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the candy striper that worked at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Is it-
alive. And
Okay.
Robin and her are dating
They
and they're
kinda-
going to college.
Okay, because I was like, they just never showed her again.
No,
From
but
what
they at least that's the way. Maybe I misunderstood. But when they're on the rooftop saying,
Okay.
"Hey, we're going to meet at Robin's crazy uncle's house,"
Oh, okay.
they're like Vicky or whatever, and it has an issue, not necessarily an issue, but like she's been through some trauma, and Robin's leaving to go deal with the other people from that trauma. So I can understand
Yeah.
maybe a little anxiety about that.
That makes sense.
So yeah, a little bit.
all right.
That
Well,
was fun, guys.
That was
wasn't
really
that-
fun.
wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Well, I do want to appreciate everyone who has stayed tuned for the last hour and listened to us ramble on about Stranger Things.
Exactly.
If there's any, I personally, I think it was a fantastic show all in all. I think it was a very unique show. It was something that can you sing the never ending story? No. I think it was a very beautiful, all in all, very well written show from season 1 through season 5. Yeah, there was some hits and whatever. It was unique. It was a different story. It had not been told. Really, honestly, it was something that was unique, and I think that's why people fell in love with it.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely wasn't that 90s show. Sorry.
no, no, the 90s. Oh,
That's
my
a whole
goodness.
nother subject for a whole nother video. No, it's just
So, with that said, I think we're going to bid everybody adieu, and we'll see you next week. We're not sure exactly what day we're going to be doing this exactly on, but
yeah.
we'll probably
Sorry,
do
my
another one.
schedule's so hectic. It's weird.
Well, when Travis is, he's a very important, very busy man, so it's okay. But we'll be back next week to talk some more crap about sci-fi stuff, nerd stuff, TV stuff, gaming, whatever. Yeah, we hope you all have a fantastic week. Cheerio.
Bye.
Have a good one. Take care. Peace.